While mighty ships of the line serve as powerful symbols of the strength and fortitude of the Centran Defence Force, it has always been the frigates of the CDF that have offered the most coveted postings for up-and-coming officers. Ships of the line are almost never deployed alone, and in peacetime spend most of their service years idling to contribute to the age-old doctrine of fleet in being. Conversely, Centran frigates are romanticized as an opportunity for adventure and advancement, as they frequently travel alone across Tantalus on long deployments with significant operational freedom, assisting far-flung settlements with local issues, and chasing down dangerous bands of pirates and slavers in the more lawless regions of the cluster. In the decade prior to the outbreak of the Frontier War, the newest and most sophisticated installment in the proud lineage of Centran frigate designs was the highly versatile Confiance-Class Frigate. At 221.6 meters in length and 54.25 meters across, the Confiance frame presents with all the trappings of typical 3rd century PCU Centran warship design, with a central keel structure flanked by sloped armor plating and featuring large prograde and retrograde engines at the fore and aft. The vessel carries a crew of 128, accompanied by a contingent of 35 CMC Marines, and is well appointed for long deployments with extensive periods away from port. The Confiance class carries a varied arsenal of weapons, intended to provide a complete combat package for any scenario, without the reliance on picket boats and other warships that is more typical of larger ships of the line. The frigate carries 4 15-inch broadhead lock coilgun turrets, accompanied by a further 8 10-inch bodkin lock turrets spread across both the forehull and mizzen hull for total coverage. A grid of 12 rapid-action 6.3-inch swivel gun mounts provide an effective defense against incoming guided missiles and strike craft, while also serving as a light direct fire weapon in close-range ship-to-ship combat. Finally, the ship features 4 quick-cycling torpedo ports linked to a mid-sized arsenal of aspect-seeking torpedoes for longer-range actions. When fighting large-scale actions as part of a fleet, Confiance-class frigates are adaptable in the kinds of roles for which they can be employed. A smaller fleet of corvettes, or sloops of war, may well be led by a Confiance-class frigate, serving in the role of a minor command ship. Or, in yet larger engagements, they may be called upon to distance themselves from an established battle line and engage the enemy more closely, thereby preventing hostile vessels from closing the gap with the battle line itself, and suffering constant rolling broadsides from the long guns of the distant ships of the line. On the ventral surface of its forehull, the Confiance features a modest boat bay for storing various auxiliary craft. Though this bay is sometimes used to house a small number of strike craft, like the S-36 Stardancer or S-24 Songbird, when a larger engagement is expected, this is an uncommon configuration for most frigates. Conventionally, this bay is used to store a pair of Fletcher-type longboats to serve as planetary interface vehicles and multi-role scout craft, frequently employed when providing humanitarian aid or security and logistical support to surface settlements across the cluster. A small number of non-atmospheric intership skiffs are also carried aboard for simple personnel transfers between vessels and installations in space. The most visually distinctive element of the Confiance-class frame is undoubtedly the large amidships centrifuge dish. The dish is in fact a fixed structural shell containing a significant amount of negative space. This space is used as a rolling track for a segment of the ship's centerline, which is designed to decouple and rotate in place to achieve spin gravity. Much like the more elaborate mechanisms on larger vessels, this allows an area of the ship to maintain comfortable gravity even when the ship is not under thrust, with the rotating segment simply locking back into its fixed configuration for use in thrust gravity or during combat. The compartments within the rotating segment are used to house living quarters, exercise and recreational areas, as well as sickbay facilities, affording the ship the numerous morale and medical benefits of continuous gravity across months-long deployments. Easily the best-known example of the Confiance-Class Frigate is the near-legendary CSV Vanquisher, the flagship of Post-Captain and later Commodore Ariana Hawker across the length of the Frontier War. Hawker received command of the Vanquisher only weeks into the war, following her promotion to captain for gallantry at the Battle of Azzecco. And despite steadily increasing in seniority and renown across the conflict, she retained the frigate as her personal command through every action she fought, securing the ship's storied reputation forever. The Vanquisher ultimately outlived her master, following Commodore Hawker's historic last stand at the Battle of the Atamara Crossroads, and the ship has remained in service since in a ceremonial capacity as the pride of the Central Defense Force. Designed with the intention of a long and enduring service life, the Confiance-Class Frigate has distinguished itself through 10 years of armed conflict through the Frontier War, and yet remains well and truly in her prime. Though the CDF fleet has been critically weakened in numbers following the war's end, ships of the Confiance class continue to patrol the assembly and struggle to contain the overwhelming increase in piracy and general anarchy that has accompanied the darkest years of the Great Famine.